Have you ever sat in absolute silence? No phone, no distractions, no one to validate your existence, just you and your own thoughts. Does that idea unsettle you? We live in a world where silence is drowned out by notifications, where self-worth is measured by external approval. We chase recognition, bend under societal expectations, and fear the emptiness of solitude. But is a life dictated by others truly your own? The Stoics believed that true freedom comes not from wealth, status, or relationships, but from within. To live without fear of being alone is to master the art of self-sufficiency. It means understanding that you are already whole, that your peace does not depend on anyone else. Paradoxically, those who learn to stand alone also form the deepest connections, not out of need, but out of choice. They walk their own path, unshaken by judgment, free from the chains of dependence. So ask yourself, do you live for yourself? Or are you just a reflection of others' expectations? In this video, we'll explore how embracing solitude can lead to true strength, independence, and fulfillment. Stay with me because this might just change the way you see your life. 1. Self-control, the key to freedom. Most of us will never find ourselves behind bars, yet many live as prisoners, trapped not by walls, but by their own lack of self-control. When you cannot govern yourself, you become a puppet of emotions, circumstances, and the expectations of others. True freedom is not about escaping responsibility or severing all ties. It is about mastering yourself so that nothing external can dictate your inner state. Self-control is not merely the ability to suppress anger or resist temptation. It is the art of ruling your own mind. It means choosing your response instead of reacting impulsively, standing firm in your values despite pressure, and refusing to let praise or criticism define you. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If your happiness rises and falls with others' opinions, if your identity shifts based on societal approval, then you are not living for yourself. You are living as a reflection of others. Living for yourself is not selfishness. It is clarity. It is knowing who you are, what you want, and walking that path with unwavering resolve. But when you rely too much on validation, you hand over control of your life. You become a prisoner to expectations, allowing fear of rejection to shape your decisions. A truly free person is one who knows when to say no, who protects their time, energy, and focus for what truly matters. Consider Vincent van Gogh, one of history's greatest painters. In his lifetime, he sold only a single painting. He was dismissed by society, rejected by family, and lived in near isolation. Yet he did not paint for approval. He painted because it was his truth. Despite suffering, poverty, and ridicule, he never abandoned his art. He did not conform to trends, but forged his own style, creating masterpieces like Starry Night and Sunflowers. Had he allowed the world's judgment to break him, we might never have known his genius. Van Gogh's life is proof that when you master yourself, you create without the need for permission. Self-control is not about rejecting others. It is about not needing them to define your worth. It is the foundation of inner peace, resilience, and true freedom. We cannot control the world, but we can always control our response. When someone criticizes you, you can react with anger or remain unfazed, knowing their words do not shape your reality. When faced with adversity, You can dwell in frustration or take action to change what you can. Every moment you have the power to choose. If you do not master yourself, others will. If you do not decide how to live, the world will decide for you. But remember, no one can truly control you unless you allow them to. And when you learn to govern yourself, you gain something no one can take away: absolute freedom to stop looking for external validation. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval. A simple drawing earns us a proud smile from our parents. A high test score brings praise from teachers. Accomplishments are met with applause, and that recognition fuels us to keep striving. This is natural. Humans thrive on connection. But what happens when we become dependent on it? If no one praises you, would you still feel worthy if there is no applause? Would you still believe in yourself? External validation is like fast food, quick, satisfying, but ultimately empty. It cannot sustain you. The moment the applause stops, you may feel lost, as if drifting without direction. A life dictated by the approval of others is not a life of freedom, but of servitude. Stoicism teaches that true fulfillment comes from within. Epictetus once said, "If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity. If you need a witness, be your own. Your worth is not something others grant you. It is something you realize within yourself." Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes in history, was once cut from his high school basketball team. He could have let that rejection define him, but he didn't. He kept training, kept pushing, proving that he didn't need validation to know his own worth. And neither do you. When you rely on others to feel good about yourself, you become vulnerable, lifted by praise, shattered by criticism. But when you can stand strong without anyone's approval, you become untouchable. This is not arrogance, it is self-mastery. The greatest recognition you will ever need is your own. Ask yourself, are you living in alignment with your values? Do you do what is right even when no one is watching? Do you respect yourself even in silence? When you stop seeking validation, a new kind of freedom emerges. You will no longer fear judgment. You will no longer feel empty in solitude because you will understand your worth has never been in the hands of others. It has always been yours. 3. Learn how to be alone. There is a truth few dare to accept. You do not need anyone else to feel complete. This is not a call to reject relationships, but a reminder that your worth is not defined by the presence or absence of others. Society often equates solitude with loneliness, making us believe that if we are not constantly surrounded by people, we are somehow lacking. But the truth is quite the opposite. Learning to be alone is one of the greatest strengths you can cultivate. To be alone is not to suffer isolation, but to embrace the rare opportunity to listen to yourself, to face your own thoughts without distraction, and to find contentment from within. Most people spend their lives running from silence, seeking external noise to drown out their own uncertainties. But those who master solitude master themselves. They no longer rely on validation, nor are they swayed by fleeting opinions. History's greatest minds understood this. Isaac Newton formulated the law of universal gravitation while in isolation during a plague. Albert Einstein spent hours lost in thought, contemplating the universe without interruption. Their brilliance was not shaped by the constant presence of others, but by the stillness that allowed them to think deeply without distraction. Imagine if Newton had spent his days chasing small talk instead of embracing solitude. Would he have ever noticed the falling apple? Now ask yourself, when you are alone, do you feel restless? Do you instinctively reach for your phone, searching for someone to talk to? Or can you sit in that space, unshaken, and look deeper within? When you stop fearing solitude, you begin to truly live. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to grow, to learn, and to strengthen yourself in ways that constant company never allows. To be alone is also to be free. When you no longer depend on others for validation, you regain control over your own life. You stop chasing relationships just to fill an empty void. Ironically, the more self-sufficient you become, the more others are drawn to you. Confidence and independence are magnetic. But the greatest gift of solitude is this: even if no one stands beside you, you remain whole. So if you ever find yourself feeling lost because no one is around, remember, it is not emptiness, but an opportunity. Use that time to build a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Because when you can stand firm on your own, nothing can bring you down. What are your thoughts on solitude? Have you ever experienced a time when being alone helped you grow? Share your insights in the comments below. 4. Build your own values instead of following social standards. Success is not a universal formula. It is not something society can define for you. If you believe that success is measured by wealth, fame, or social approval, then you have unknowingly allowed the world to dictate your path. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, is success truly about achieving what others admire? Or is it about living a life that is meaningful to you? From a young age, we are taught to follow a predefined path, secure a stable job, earn a high salary, and gain the admiration of others. But have you ever stopped to question whether these things genuinely align with who you are? Or are they merely expectations imposed upon you? Take Vera Wang as an example. She started as a figure skater, dreaming of Olympic success. When that dream ended, she turned to journalism, becoming a fashion editor. But at 40, she discovered her true passion, designing wedding dresses. Society might have told her it was too late to start over, yet she ignored those limitations and built one of the most prestigious bridal fashion brands in the world. Her story proves one thing: success has no deadline, as long as you dare to live by your own values. If you spend your life chasing external expectations, you will become a version of yourself molded by society, not the person you were meant to be. But the real tragedy is not the judgment of others. It is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived. That is why you must build your own values. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What brings me fulfillment and freedom? These are not easy questions, but once you answer them, external standards will no longer have power over you. Here's a hard truth: when you start living according to your values, not everyone will support you. You will face criticism, misunderstandings, and even isolation. But remember, true strength comes from within, not from the approval of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Building your own values means taking control of your thoughts instead of letting the world dictate them. It does not mean resisting everything society offers, but rather learning to be selective, choosing what helps you grow and letting go of what holds you back. And that is exactly what we will explore next. How to eliminate the things that hinder your growth. If this message resonates with you, stay with me until the end, because the path to true freedom begins here. And if you found value in this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. 5. Eliminate things that inhibit your own development. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what is truly holding me back? Maybe it's a job you despise but feel trapped in, a relationship drained of trust, yet you still cling to it, or a silent fear that keeps you from stepping outside your comfort zone. We often believe that growth comes from adding more skills, opportunities, connections, but in reality, true growth often comes from elimination. Life is like a garden. It's not enough to water what thrives. We must also cut away what withers. Yet the hardest things to let go of are often the most familiar: stability, long-standing habits, even suffering we've learned to endure. We don't hold on because they serve us. We hold on because we fear the emptiness that may follow if we release them. But ask yourself, do you want comfort, or do you want growth? Henry Ford's story is a testament to this truth. His first 2 automobile companies failed, leaving him humiliated and broke. Many would have seen this as a sign to quit. But instead of clinging to outdated methods, Ford eliminated what wasn't working and embraced a new vision: affordable cars for the masses. That shift in mindset led to the creation of the Ford Model T, revolutionizing the automobile industry. His success didn't come from what he added, it came from what he let go of. So how do you know what to eliminate? Ask yourself one simple question. Is this still helping me grow? If a relationship drains you more than it nurtures you, is it worth keeping? If a job crushes your spirit rather than inspiring you, is it worth dedicating your life to? If fear is keeping you paralyzed, is it worth carrying with you forever? The greatest tragedy is not losing what we have, it's looking back years from now and realizing we never truly lived because we were too afraid to change. Growth never comes from absolute safety. It comes from those moments when we dare to let go, to move forward even when we cannot see the road ahead. So take a moment and reflect. Is there something in your life holding you back? If so, have the courage to release it, because only when you remove what no longer serves you can you create space for something greater. 6. Overcome the fear of being judged. Most people live in quiet captivity, haunted by a single question: what do others think of me? But here is a truth you must embrace, no matter what you do. People will always have opinions. Dress differently, you're eccentric. Follow your passion, you're unrealistic. Conform to expectations, you're just ordinary. The truth is, you can never please everyone, and the more you try, the further you stray from yourself. The fear of judgment is not just a fleeting emotion, it is a chain that binds you. It makes you hesitate, forces you into compromises, and worst of all, prevents you from being who you truly are. Imagine having a dream that sets your soul on fire, but instead of pursuing it, you let the fear of ridicule hold you back. You want to change your path but hesitate, worrying about whispers behind your back. If you let this fear dictate your life, you will wake up one day drowning in regret. But when you dare to step beyond this fear, you unlock something extraordinary: freedom. You will no longer be shackled by others' opinions because you will understand a profound truth. Their judgments do not define your worth. You will live as you choose, pursue what you love, and walk your own path without looking over your shoulder. History does not remember those who stayed silent out of fear. It remembers those who had the courage to stand apart. Vincent van Gogh was mocked, dismissed, and died in poverty, unrecognized for his genius. Had he painted for approval, he might have abandoned his art, but he didn't. He painted because it was his truth today. His works are priceless. While those who ridiculed him are long forgotten, his story is proof that opinions are temporary, but what you create, what you believe in, can last forever. If you let the fear of judgment control you, you will always live within the boundaries others set. But if you dare to break free, you will finally experience what it means to truly live. So ask yourself, will you spend your life conforming, or will you have the courage to be yourself? That is the real question. And in the next part, we'll take it even further. 7th, dare to truly live and choose according to your heart. Life moves forward relentlessly. Seconds turn into minutes, minutes into hours, hours into days. Time does not wait, no matter how much we wish it would. The real question is, am I truly living, or is life simply passing me by? Look at today. What have you done differently from yesterday? We wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, and repeat. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months. Will tomorrow be any different? Or will it be another day lived on autopilot? If you do not take control of your life, society will dictate it for you. Now is the time to choose how you truly want to live. But being true to yourself is not easy. From childhood, we are taught to fit in, to behave in ways that gain approval, to follow paths chosen for us, study this subject, get that job, live as expected. But at some point, we must stop and ask, is this my life, or am I simply fulfilling the expectations of others? To be true to yourself does not mean rebellion. It means listening to your own voice, understanding your values, and having the courage to follow them. When you dare to walk your own path, you do not just free yourself from invisible chains. You open the door to the right people and opportunities. Take Lady Gaga, for example. She was not an overnight success. When she first entered the music industry, she was rejected, ridiculed, and told she was too different to make it. Record labels claimed she did not fit the mold of a pop star. But instead of conforming, she doubled down on who she was. She wore bold outfits, experimented with music, and performed with fearless passion. She was not afraid of being misunderstood because she knew only authenticity could make her truly shine. And she was right. Not only did she achieve global success, but she built a devoted community, not because she tried to please everyone, but because she had the courage to be herself. One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to be liked by everyone. But here is the truth. No matter how hard you try, there will always be people who misunderstand, criticize, or dislike you. And that is not your burden to carry. The right people will stay, the wrong ones will leave. And that is perfectly okay. You were not born to be a copy of someone else. You were not meant to live by the standards of others. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control people's opinions, we can control how we live. So ask yourself, if you weren't afraid of being judged, what would you do if you weren't afraid of failure? What path would you take? That is your answer. That is the life you are meant to live. You have only one life. Will you let it pass by without truly living, or will you dare to be yourself? The choice is yours. 8. Learn how to forgive and move forward. Some wounds are invisible to the eye, yet they linger deep within us. Anger, resentment, and past hurts weigh us down, chaining us to moments that can never be changed. But is it worth it? Is it worth carrying this burden into the future, allowing it to darken new opportunities? Forgiveness is not a gift we give to others. It is a liberation we grant ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is not just ethical wisdom, but a profound truth about inner freedom. When we allow hatred to consume us, we are unknowingly handing power over our emotions and actions to those who hurt us. But when we let go, we claim our control. Imagine holding a burning coal, intending to throw it at your enemy. Who gets burned first? You do. Hatred works the same way. It consumes our peace, clarity, and even the simple joys of life. Just a single bitter thought can imprison us in suffering. But forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison. To forgive does not mean to forget, nor does it mean allowing others to continue harming us. It is not a sign of weakness, but of immense strength. It is the conscious choice to let go of resentment so that we can move forward, rather than letting the past dictate our future. History is filled with those who chose forgiveness over vengeance, and in doing so, transformed the world. Mahatma Gandhi was imprisoned, beaten, and watched his people suffer under oppression. Yet he did not choose violence or revenge. He led a movement of non-violent resistance, enduring years of struggle until India gained independence. Had he let hatred cloud his judgment, history may have unfolded very differently. His story is proof that forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is about choosing a wiser response. There will always be people who hurt us. That is beyond our control. But what is within our control is how we respond. Stoic philosophy teaches us that peace is found within, not through seeking revenge or external justice. Forgiveness is not about excusing others. It is about freeing ourselves. When we let go of hatred, we lose nothing. In fact, we gain everything: our peace, our clarity, and our freedom. If you are still holding on to resentment today, ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? Could this energy be used to build a better life? Instead of drowning in old emotions, forgiveness is not easy. But once you embrace it, you will realize that it is not just an act of kindness. It is a priceless gift you give to yourself. So, after everything we've explored, what do you think is true freedom found in living for yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments with I Choose Me. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future insights that challenge the way you see life. And if someone you know needs to hear this, share it with them. Your journey to self-mastery has only just begun. In the next video, we'll uncover even deeper truths about living with strength, purpose, and independence. See you there.
You have wisely come to the conclusion that you even appreciate the contrast that gives birth to your desire? Yes. More contrast, please, yes. We're pushing it, aren't we? Can you stand where you are with things that you desire, not yet fulfilled or completely manifest in your experience, still feeling the thrill of the unfolding? That's good. Because if you stand in your now, wanting something not yet fulfilled, and you are uncomfortable about its not yet fulfillment, then vibrationally you are different from your desire. And your desire cannot come to one who vibrates differently. Law of attraction says that which is likened to itself is drawn. So when you feel enthusiasm for your new desire, then you match it. When you feel anticipation and eagerness, then you match it. When you feel worried about it, you're not a match. When you feel frustrated that it is taking so long, you're not a match. When you feel envy of those who have achieved it while you have not, you are not a match. In other words, your emotions let you know what your vibrational content is. Your emotions are your guidance system that help you to understand at all times where you are in vibrational proximity to your own desires. It's such a wonderful thing when you begin to recognize what your emotions are telling you, because your emotions are your vibrational meter. Everything in our universe, whether we are non-physically focused or physically focused, is vibrational. And sometimes you don't realize that because you're in these physical bodies doing such an excellent job of translating your experience into the physical equivalent through these interpreters in your body that make it possible. Your eyes interpret vibration and so you see. Your ears interpret vibration and so you hear. Even your nose and fingertips and tongue are vibrational interpreters. And your emotional center, which gives you the feeling of anger or joy, that emotional center is a vibrational interpretation of energy. And so as you are understanding that your emotions are letting you know how you're doing vibrationally, and you begin to not only pay attention to the way you feel, but you begin to deliberately guide yourself by feeling. In other words, you reach for feelings. When you begin to reach for feeling, then you reach for vibration. So if you understand that you are extensions of source energy, you are pure positive energy extended into this physical environment, you are truly on the leading edge of thought. And as you are feeling wonderful, as you feel joyful and eager, as you are filled with love or appreciation, in that moment, you have found, by virtue of whatever you are choosing to give your attention to, a vibration that so fully matches the source that is you, that there is no resistance in your vibration. You are a perfect extension of your source. And in that moment, you are really being you. You are full of you. You are being the you that you were before you decided to come into this body. You are source in physical form. But if you feel fear or anger or any of those emotions that you would describe as negative emotion, what that means is right now what is most active in your vibration, in other words, what you're giving your attention to, is not a perfect match to who you are. You've got a different vibration going, and in the process you've introduced some static, or even a better word for it is resistance, to your signal. So you are not the full receiver. You are not absolutely allowing a full reception of who you are. And in those cases, you do not do as well. When you allow connection, you thrive. You are clear-minded, you are vital and alive, you are full of energy, you feel good, you laugh easily, things unfold wonderfully for you. You guide your life through thought, not with hard work or struggle or effort. But when you are focused upon things that cause that static or resistance within your vibration, then everything is harder for you because you are not allowing the resources of the universe to function for you. Oh, they still are functioning, and they still are functioning for you, but you've got yourselves crossways of the current somehow, and you're not letting it happen. We want to say to you in ways that you cannot help but hear, well-being wants you. Well-being wants in. In other words, it is your legacy, it is your birthright, it is who you really are. And unless you're doing that thing you sometimes do that does not let it in, then you are thriving. So as we are moving forward here today, we want to help you find some ways to more consciously offer vibrations that match who you really are. And of course, you cannot do that without a keen awareness of the way you are feeling, because that is your guiding indicator. The question that is worth contemplating many times during the day is, what is my dominant vibration relative to the subjects that are important to me? And the reason we put it to you in that way is because you, depending upon what you are giving your attention to, have the opportunity to offer many different vibrations on many different subjects. You can do that right now. In fact, you could start fresh today and offer only vibrations that serve you. You could. It isn't likely that you will because you have practiced vibrations. So the vibration that is dominant within you is not like a bucket of thoughts that you are carrying around. And since you've been gathering your bucket for a number of years, now it will take a number of years to empty your bucket. It isn't like that. Your vibrational tendency, or what is dominant within you, just has to do with what you're doing now, but what you're doing now has to do with what you've been doing, because what you've been doing is likely what you're going to be doing now. It's sort of like that's what you've been practicing, so it's likely that that's what you will be doing. We never see you take your radio and thump on it because you heard a song a few minutes ago and you know it's still in there. You don't say, I heard you just a minute ago, now come out again. Because you know that that little box is not a storage cabinet of what it's been displaying for you. It's a transmitter, receiver, and so are you. So you're not like this box that you could thump and get something out of either. What you are is a transmitter receiver that has tendencies, proclivities, sort of habits of vibration. So the way you are going to offer your vibration today is most likely the way you have been doing it, unless you make a decision that you're going to do something differently. And that is the most important thing about deliberate creating. It is deciding how you're going to vibrate, how you're going to offer your energy. But deciding what you're going to vibrate or what thoughts you're going to think is a more difficult path than deciding how you want to feel. If you will decide how you want to feel, then you will more easily guide yourself to those vibrational tendencies that serve you. As we feel the vibration that is you, we acknowledge that there is much more about your vibrational countenance that serves you than that doesn't. In other words, you have enormous expectation for well-being, and that's why you thrive in the manner that you do. Look at the way you live. You have very good lives. Your expectancy is very powerfully pointed toward well-being. But you also have some vibrational tendencies that do not serve you. And that's what this paying attention to the way you feel is all about. There are some habits of thought that you've picked up along your physical trail that do not serve you. So when we say to you, what is your dominant vibration around the subject of money? We would ask you these questions. When you think about money or abundance, does that feel to you like adventure, like fun? Does it feel like eagerness? Does it feel free? Or when you think about money, do you feel uncomfortable, maybe a little worried, limited? You can tell when we ask the question. Now sometimes you say, well, I feel some of all of that, and we know you do, but the question that we're asking is, which do you feel more often? And you can tell when we ask the question which way you're leaning. When we ask you, how do you feel about your body? Do you feel free and vital and sure-footed, or do you feel tentative and worried and uncertain? You know, you can tell right away. When you think about your dominant relationship, does it feel like adventure and freedom and joy? Or does it feel like bondage and struggle and hard work? You can tell. Which of these thoughts have you been practicing more? So when we talk about a dominant vibration, what we're really talking about is your point of attraction. We're talking about the way you're most likely to offer a thought if you don't stop and think about offering it in a different way. Another way of saying that is, what vibration is activated within me right now? Well, whatever you are giving your attention to activates a thought. It activates a vibration within you. And those things that you give most of your attention to are those things that are most activated. Over time, they become the most dominant. Someone the other day wanted to talk to us about core beliefs. Core beliefs. Core beliefs. It sounded as if it was something unchanging, unchangeable, something sort of permanent. And we say, you have vibrational tendencies. Most of them serve you. Some you may want to change. So when we talk about what is the vibration that is most dominant within you, what we're really talking about is, what are you working on activating? What are you deliberately giving your attention to and holding your attention there long enough that it becomes activated and then by law of attraction attracts more into itself until eventually, and sooner than you think, it becomes a dominant vibration within you. So as you begin feeling your way through your day-to-day experiences, it becomes easier for you to recognize what it is you are offering and whether you're doing it deliberately or whether you're doing it by default, whether you're just doing it because you've been doing it. As we listen to you, and as Esther recalls her experiences and begins to recognize that very often there are just ways you feel about things that have nothing to do with now. Sometimes it was an incident that happened when you were 4 or 5 or 10 or 20. Something that happened that really didn't have very much to do with you. It happened to those around you. You observed it. You felt their vibration. It was active in their vibration. You observed it long enough that it became active in your vibration. And so even today, it's an active part of your vibration, even though you don't want it, even though it has nothing to do with you. And so as Esther is listening to you and as Esther is watching in her own life and paying attention, one day as we're chewing about all of this, Esther got all revved up and she said, I can damn well choose the vibration that is dominant within me. I don't want the television to activate within me. I don't want past experiences to activate within me. I can choose. And we said, well, we had hoped that it would be more positive, but it's a good first step to acknowledge what you want. In other words, everything is like that, isn't it? Your contrast helps you to conclude what you want. That's what step 1 in the creative process is. And very often, in the middle of step 1, in fact, most often in the middle of step 1, you are nowhere near in vibrational harmony with your own desire, because contrast has literally aggravated you to conclusions that come out of you like brief, sharp, clear rockets, but because your vibrational tendency is not really practiced, you don't maintain the vibration of your desire very long. So step 1 is ask. And when you do, on any level of your being, even if it's a cell that is asking, Source takes care of step 2 and answers your request every single time. But you must be a vibrational match to what you are asking for, or you cannot let it into your experience. And so step 3 is finding a way to relax and allow the well-being that you've been asking for to come into your experience. And that's what we meant earlier when we said you cannot feel frustration about an incomplete desire and be in step 3. When you're feeling frustration about an incomplete desire, you might be amending your desire, you might be modifying it, but you are clearly still in step 1. So is negative emotion an indicator that you are a terrible creator and that you are not doing what you came forth to do? Not at all. Negative emotion is your indicator of your vibrational countenance in the moment. That is true. But what negative emotion really is letting you know where you are offering your vibration. Negative emotion is also, almost without exception, an indication that you are in step 1. And we've noticed that step 1 always comes before step 2. Step 1 always comes before step 3. So if we were standing in your physical shoes and we found ourselves in the middle of something that was making us frustrated, instead of beating up on ourselves about not being in the state of allowing, instead we would say, I'm in step 1. And I'm going to move over to step 3 shortly here, but right now I'm in step 1 and that's all right. This is my clarifying phase. This is where I am determining more clearly what I am wanting. As we talk about the art of allowing, many times we get vibrational, if not verbal arguments from those like you who say, Abraham, that means I should just put up with all of the stuff that people are giving me and like it? That I should carry this banner of non-resistance so that people know that they can just walk over me because I'm never going to give them back what they're asking for? I'm never going to fight back. I'm just going to look sort of like a blank person or feel sort of like a doormat where I just relax and let them have their way with me? And we say, we don't think that you would do that even if we were teaching you to do that. We think when something that you don't like happens, you feel it. We do not think it is possible for you to look at something not in vibrational harmony with who you are or your desire and feel good about it.
Have you ever noticed how the loudest people often invite the most trouble? How those who reveal too much end up vulnerable, exposed to judgment, envy, and manipulation? The truth is, not everyone around you wants to see you win. Some smile in your face, but secretly wait for your downfall. And the more you share, the more power you give them. A wise person understands this. They know that silence isn't secrecy, it's strength, that not everything needs an audience. Because in a world where people judge quickly and betray easily, what you keep to yourself matters just as much as what you say. So today, we're going to talk about 5 things an intelligent person never shares with anyone. Master this, and you'll move through life with greater control, power, and peace. Stay with me, because what you don't say might just be your greatest advantage. Number 1, your next big move. Have you ever shared a dream, a goal, or a vision with someone, only to feel the energy around it shift? One moment, your idea feels unstoppable, clear, powerful, full of momentum. Then, as soon as you speak it into existence, something changes. The excitement fades. Doubt creeps in, and before you know it, the fire that once burned so brightly starts to dim. Why does this happen? Because not everyone needs to know your next move. Not everyone around you has pure intentions. Some will encourage you, but others, whether consciously or not, will plant seeds of doubt, fear, and hesitation. Even those who genuinely care about you might unknowingly impose their own limitations onto your vision. They'll ask, "Are you sure this is a good idea? What if it doesn't work out? Maybe you should play it safe." And even if you don't believe them, those words linger. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at the first obstacle, those whispers of doubt resurface. And doubt, once given a voice, has a way of becoming reality. But doubt isn't the only threat. There's envy, a force more destructive than most people realize. It's real, and it's dangerous. You might expect the people closest to you to celebrate your ambition, and maybe they will at first. But what happens when your growth highlights their stagnation? When your success reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential? That's when silent competition begins. That's when admiration turns into quiet resentment. Some people will cheer for you until they realize you're surpassing them. They were comfortable as long as you were struggling, as long as you were on the same level. But the moment you start elevating, the moment your progress starts making them feel small, their support shifts. They begin to distance themselves, or worse, they start subtly undermining you. And then there are those who don't just envy you, they want to see you fail. These are the ones who smile to your face, but work behind the scenes to sabotage you. They'll spread rumors. They'll create obstacles. They'll turn people against you, all because the thought of you rising while they remain stuck is too much for them to bear. Sometimes they won't even realize they're doing it. It might come out as passive-aggressive comments, as backhanded compliments, as unsolicited advice designed to make you second-guess yourself. Other times, their actions will be more deliberate, manipulating situations, planting doubts in the minds of those around you, quietly making sure that doors stay closed. So what's the solution? Move in silence. Protect your dreams. Guard your plans like a warrior guarding sacred ground. Because here is the truth. Nobody can stop what they don't see coming. Nobody can sabotage a move they don't even know you're making. Think about the most successful people in the world. Do they announce every step they take? Do they explain themselves to everyone? Do they seek permission or validation? No, they simply do the work. And when it's done, when the results are undeniable, that's when the world finds out. Look at history. The greatest strategists never revealed their plans before execution. Powerful leaders, visionaries, innovators, they understood the value of discretion. Every great empire, every revolutionary idea, every game-changing move was built in silence before it was revealed to the world. Because silence is not secrecy, silence is strategy. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your journey. You don't need to justify your ambition. You don't have to prove yourself before you've even taken the first step. The only thing you need is discipline, focus, and the wisdom to understand that not every move is meant to be shared. So the next time you feel the urge to announce your plans, pause, ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Do I need guidance? Or am I seeking validation? Will this person truly support me? Or am I exposing my vision to unnecessary energy? Because here is the reality, the loudest person in the room is rarely the most successful. The ones who constantly talk about what they're going to do, they almost never do it. But the one who moves in silence, who lets their work speak for itself, that's the person who truly makes things happen. A lion doesn't announce when it's about to hunt. A warrior doesn't declare every move before battle. The wise build in silence, act with purpose, and reveal only when the time is right. So protect your dreams, guard your plans, move in silence, and when the time comes, when your work is complete, when the results speak for themselves, let the world be shocked by what you've built. Number 2, your deepest weaknesses. Let me ask you something. Who truly deserves to know your struggles? Who has earned the right to see your vulnerabilities? Because the truth is, not everyone who listens cares. Not everyone who nods in understanding is on your side. Some people aren't listening to help you. They're listening to use you. They're gathering information, waiting for the perfect moment to turn your weaknesses into weapons. An intelligent person understands this. They know that not everyone deserves access to their insecurities, because the wrong person with the right information can become their greatest enemy. Think about it when you open up about your deepest fears, your self-doubts, your struggles. You are handing someone the blueprint to break you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day when things turn sour, when emotions run high, that very same information you once shared in confidence can be used against you. It could be a friend who suddenly becomes an enemy, a colleague who stops being a teammate and starts being competition, even a family member who, in a moment of anger, throws your own weaknesses back in your face. And sometimes it's not even intentional. Some people don't mean to hurt you, but they're careless with your trust. They repeat things they shouldn't. They laugh about your struggles behind your back. They turn something deeply personal, something you shared in honesty, into gossip. And just like that, your vulnerability becomes entertainment for others. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about betrayal, it's about control. The more someone knows about your weaknesses, the easier you are to manipulate. If someone knows you fear rejection, all they have to do is withhold their approval to keep you chasing after them. If they know you fear failure, they can plant just enough doubt to make you hesitate. If they know you struggle with self-worth, they can reinforce that insecurity every time you try to grow. And this isn't just about personal relationships. It happens in business, in leadership, in every competitive space. Revealing your weaknesses is like showing your opponent your defensive gaps before the game even begins. You think the business world is full of friends, You think your workplace is just a big, happy family. Wake up. Some people will shake your hand while secretly waiting for a chance to outshine you, outmaneuver you, or replace you. The less they know about your vulnerabilities, the less power they have over you. But let me be clear. I'm not saying you should never open up. We all need people we can trust. We all need safe spaces where we can be vulnerable. But trust is earned, not given. Before you share your struggles with someone, test their character, observe them, pay attention to how they handle other people's secrets. If they gossip about others, what makes you think they won't gossip about you? If they've betrayed someone else's trust, what makes you think you'll be the exception? Ask yourself, if this person were angry at me one day, could they use this against me? If the answer is yes, then don't tell them. And more importantly, learn to carry your struggles with strength. You don't need to broadcast your battles to the world. You don't need validation. You don't need sympathy. You need wisdom. You need self-mastery. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who have no weaknesses. They're the ones who refuse to let the world use their weaknesses against them. They move carefully. They trust wisely. They understand that real power isn't just about what you show. It's also about what you choose to withhold. So guard your vulnerabilities, protect your struggles, and never forget, not everyone listening is listening to help you. Number 3, your income and financial plans. Money changes people, not just you, but everyone around you. The moment people know how much you make, how much you have saved, or what your next financial move is, their behavior shifts. Some will start expecting more from you. Some will feel entitled to your success. And some will quietly look for ways to take advantage of you. An intelligent person understands this. They know that their financial business is exactly that, their business. Because when you share too much about your money, you invite problems you never asked for. Let's start with family and friends. You get a raise, you start making more money. Suddenly, an unspoken expectation forms. You should help out, you should cover the bill at dinner, you should lend money whenever someone asks. And if you say no, if you set boundaries, now you're the bad guy. Oh, you changed. Oh, you forgot where you came from. No, you didn't change. They did. The moment they saw your financial situation improve, they stopped seeing you as a person and started seeing you as a resource. And then there's competition. Some people can't stand the idea of you doing better than them. They were fine when you were on the same level, struggling together, but the moment you start to rise, envy creeps in. They start watching you more closely, comparing, making passive-aggressive comments like, "Must be nice." It's not admiration, it's bitterness, and bitterness has a way of turning into sabotage. They'll try to make you feel guilty for your success. They'll remind you of the past, of when you needed help, as if success is something to apologize for. They'll question your spending, your choices, your lifestyle, not because they care, but because your progress reminds them of their own stagnation. And instead of working harder, they'd rather pull you down. But that's not even the biggest danger. The real threat comes from those who see money as an opportunity to manipulate, to scam, to take what isn't theirs. The more people know about your finances, the bigger a target you become. It could be a fake friend suddenly needing just a little help, a business partner more interested in your money than the actual business, A distant relative with a sob story resurfacing after years of silence, or someone watching from a distance, waiting for the perfect moment to take advantage of what you've worked for. And the worst part, most people don't even see it coming until it's too late. So what's the solution? Silence. Keep your income private. Keep your financial plans to yourself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to flex. You don't need to explain why you can afford something. Let people wonder, let them assume, because the less they know, the more control you have over your own financial future. And this isn't just about protecting yourself, it's about moving strategically. When you share your financial plans too soon, you open yourself up to unnecessary opinions. Suddenly, everyone has advice. Oh, you should invest in this. Oh, don't spend your money on that. Oh, I heard that's a bad idea. And before you know it, their doubts, their fears, their lack of financial wisdom starts influencing your decisions. An intelligent person doesn't let the world dictate their financial journey. They build in silence. They invest in silence. They level up in silence. And when the results start showing, when the success is undeniable, they still don't explain. Because true financial power isn't just about having money, it's about having control over who knows about it. So protect your income, protect your financial plans, because the moment you let the wrong people in on your business, you're not just sharing numbers, you're handing them control over how they treat you. Keep them guessing, keep them wondering, and most importantly, keep your money. Number 4, your family problems. Family is sacred. It's where you come from, where you find your deepest connections, and where your story begins. But let me tell you something, not everyone needs to know what happens behind closed doors. An intelligent person understands this. They know that family problems should be handled within the family, not broadcasted for the world to see, because the moment you start sharing your family struggles with the wrong people, you open the door to judgment, gossip, and manipulation. Some people will pretend to care, but deep down, they're just collecting information. They'll listen closely, nodding their heads, acting like they understand, only to turn around and spread your business like wildfire. And once that happens, your private pain becomes public entertainment. That's the harsh truth. Some people don't want to help, they want to compare. They want to hear about your problems, not out of concern, but to feel better about their own lives. Did you hear what's going on in his family? Wow, and I thought my life was bad. It's not support, it's gossip. And let's not forget those who will use your family issues against you. In the wrong hands, your private struggles become weapons. Maybe it's a coworker who casually brings it up at the worst possible moment. Maybe it's a so-called friend who throws it in your face during an argument. Or maybe it's someone you trusted, someone who now sees your pain as leverage. When the time is right, they'll remind you of your family problems to break you, to make you feel small. And the worst part, you gave them that power. But it doesn't stop there. When you expose your family issues to the world, you damage the very relationships you're trying to protect. Every family has its ups and downs, arguments, misunderstandings, conflicts. That's life. But when you start involving outsiders, you invite opinions that can make things worse. Maybe you had a fight with your sibling. You vent about it to a friend. The next day, you and your sibling make up. But your friend, they're still holding on to that story. They're still judging. Over time, those outside opinions create cracks in relationships that could have been repaired in private. The wounds that should have healed in silence become scars, deepened by the weight of unnecessary interference. And then there's the danger of making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. When we're hurt, when we're frustrated, we want to talk. We want to let it out. But in those moments of anger, we say things we can't take back. We reveal things we shouldn't. And later, when things calm down, we realize we've exposed too much to people who never needed to know. So what's the solution? Discretion. Handle family matters within the family. Talk to the people involved. Solve problems directly, not through outsiders. If you need guidance, seek wisdom from someone trustworthy, someone who genuinely wants to help, not just someone who's curious about your business. And most importantly, protect the dignity of your loved ones, because family isn't just about the good times. It's about standing together through the hard times. It's about keeping each other's weaknesses safe. No family is perfect, but that doesn't mean the world needs to know every struggle. Keep your family problems private. Guard your relationships and remember, not everyone listening is listening to help. Some are just waiting for a story to tell. Number 5, your good deeds. Let me tell you something. True kindness doesn't need an audience. Real generosity doesn't ask for applause. When you do something good, when you help someone, when you give from the heart, it should never be about recognition. It should be about purpose. But in today's world, too many people crave credit for their kindness. They want the world to see. They want the praise, the admiration, the validation. They post every donation, document every act of charity, making sure everyone knows just how generous they are. But here's the truth. When you seek attention for your good deeds, you take the good out of them. Because now it's no longer about helping, it's about being seen. An intelligent person understands this. They know that real giving is done in silence, that the most powerful acts of kindness happen when nobody is watching. Because when you do good for the right reasons, it changes you, it humbles you, it fills your soul. But when you do it for attention, it becomes just another performance, another way to feed the ego. And let's be real, people can see through that. They can tell when kindness is genuine and when it's just for show. And the moment they start questioning your intentions, your good deeds lose their meaning. Instead of inspiring others, you make them wonder, did they really care? Or were they just looking for validation? But let's go even deeper, because when you announce your good deeds, you also open the door to resentment. Some people won't admire you, they'll envy you, so they have enough money to help others. Why aren't they helping me? Instead of spreading positivity, you create expectations. Instead of being appreciated, you become judged. And then there are those who will try to use your kindness against you. The moment people see you as a giver, some will take advantage. They'll come with their hands out, expecting more and more. And the second you say no, now you're the bad guy. Oh, you helped them, but not me. Suddenly, they forget everything you've done before. They only focus on what they want from you now. So what's the lesson here? Move in silence. Do good because it's the right thing to do. Help because you want to, not because you need people to see it. And if someone finds out, let it be because they felt your kindness, not because you announced it. Because at the end of the day, the real reward for kindness isn't recognition. It's knowing that you made a difference, that you changed a life, that you did something meaningful, even if nobody ever knew. So keep your good deeds private. Let your impact speak for itself, because true greatness doesn't need a spotlight. It shines on its own. At the end of the day, wisdom isn't just about what you know. It's about what you choose to keep to yourself. Not everything needs an audience. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your plans, or your struggles. Move with intelligence. Move with intention. Move with power. Because the less they know, the more control you have. The less they see, the stronger you become. And when the time comes, when success is undeniable, let them wonder, let them be shocked by the results. Because while they were talking, while they were doubting, you were working. If this message resonates with you, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. What's one thing you've learned to keep to yourself? And remember, true strength isn't about being seen, it's about being unshakable. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and I'll see you in the next one. Have you ever walked away from a conversation wishing you had said less or nothing at all? In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare and powerful virtue. We're surrounded by noise, opinions, arguments, constant reactions. But the Stoics knew something we often forget. The most commanding voice in the room is sometimes the one that chooses not to speak. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." That wasn't indifference, it was mastery. Silence, when chosen with wisdom, is not weakness, it's strength under control, a form of resistance, a way to rise above chaos without adding to it. But when is silence more than just golden? When does it become necessary? Today we'll explore 9 moments in life when silence isn't just wise, it's transformational. Moments when keeping your mouth shut could protect your peace, sharpen your judgment, and earn you quiet respect. If any part of you is tired of reacting and ready to respond with intention, this journey is for you. Take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Number 1. When being criticized unfairly. Have you ever been hit with a comment so off base, so wildly unfair, that your whole body tensed up? Maybe a colleague blamed you for a failed project you barely touched, or a friend twisted your words and painted you as the villain in a story that never happened. It stings because it feels unjust, and your first instinct is to fight back, to defend, to correct the record. But what if those very moments, the ones that make your blood boil, are actually the perfect training ground for strength? The Stoics believed that external insults are powerless unless we give them permission to affect us. As Emperor Hadrian once wrote, "It is not the words of others that harm us, but our interpretation of them. The insult doesn't wound you, your reaction does, and that's within your control." Imagine you're at a family dinner. Out of nowhere, your uncle, a self-proclaimed financial guru, remarks, "I'm honestly surprised you're still getting by with your spending habits. You could list every smart decision you've made. Bring up your savings account. Maybe even throw in the time he lost money on a bad investment." But a Stoic would choose a different path. They would pause, breathe, and understand this is not about truth. It's about projection. His comment says more about his own insecurities than your financial reality. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, taught that criticism, especially the unfair kind, is a mirror. Sometimes it reflects more of the speaker than the target. But even in the worst of insults, there may be a sliver of insight. Could it be time to revisit your budget? Adjust your habits if so. Use the criticism, not because it was fair, but because you are wise enough to grow from anything. And then let silence do the rest. Not every attack deserves a response. Sometimes the most powerful move is none at all. Like a fighter who never throws a punch. Just stand still while the other tires themselves out. Your silence exposes their noise. So next time you're unfairly criticized, ask yourself, is this really about me? Is there something to learn? And what will silence say that words cannot? Let your calm be your rebuttal. Let your composure be your legacy. Number 2, stay silent in the presence of boasting. There's a particular kind of noise that tests our ego, not conflict, not insult, but boasting. You've felt it. Someone in the room once stopped talking about their achievements, their success, their brilliance. Maybe it's a colleague flaunting a promotion, or a friend who suddenly turned every conversation into a TED talk about their grind. You feel the pull, the urge to counter, to prove that you're just as accomplished, if not more. But here is where Stoicism steps in. The Stoics teach that real confidence has nothing to prove. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. In other words, don't get drawn into the contest. Let your actions speak, not your words. Imagine this. You're at a dinner and one guest, let's call him Victor, is in full performance mode. He's recounting his recent real estate deal, his meditation streak, and how he now runs 5 miles before sunrise. You consider jumping in with your own quiet wins, but you don't. Instead, you listen, you stay silent, not because you're impressed, but because you don't need validation. That silence rooted in self-assurance is what sets you apart. It's not passivity, it's poise. Seneca reminds us it is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. In moments of empty boasting, silence becomes your strength. It shows you're not measuring yourself by someone else's yardstick. You're on your own path, calm, focused, steady. Epictetus took it even further. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because when you stop needing to be seen, you begin to truly grow. So next time you're surrounded by self-congratulation, don't compete, don't compare. Just listen, smile, let others reveal their hunger for attention, while you remain grounded in your own quiet confidence. Because sometimes the most powerful presence in the room is the one that says nothing and still commands respect. Number 3, when dealing with anger, anger is like a sudden storm. It hits fast, blinds us, and leaves behind regret in its wake. 1 minute you're calm, the next you're on fire. Your heart races, your thoughts spin, and reason disappears. And yet, the truth is simple. Anger only has as much power as we allow it to have. The Stoics never said we should suppress anger. They taught us to understand it, to master it, because real strength isn't about never feeling anger. It's about not letting anger make decisions for you. Imagine this. You're exhausted, standing in line at the grocery store. Finally, it's your turn when someone boldly cuts in front of you. No apology, no glance, just blatant disrespect. Your fists clench, your mind starts scripting the perfect comeback, but then you pause. That pause is everything. In that silence, you've done what most people can't. You've chosen mastery over reaction. As Emperor Antoninus Pius once advised, let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. In this case, you have the power to choose peace. Anger feels like defense, but more often it's destruction. A sharp retort at a coworker might cost you trust. Yelling at a loved one might cause wounds that linger. The Stoics understood this well. They believed the consequences of anger are nearly always worse than its cause. That doesn't mean you become passive or let people disrespect you. It means you learn to respond with intention, not impulse. And when something truly needs to be addressed, you handle it with clarity, not rage. The Stoic philosopher Mucius Rufus taught that most anger comes not from events themselves, but from our expectations. We expect fairness, kindness, and order. When life doesn't meet those ideals, frustration follows. But if you shift your perspective, if you stop expecting the world to act as you wish, you begin to regain control. Silence in the heat of anger isn't weakness, it's strategy. It buys you time to think, to breathe, to redirect that energy into something that serves you. Anger, when transformed, can fuel progress, but when left unchecked, it burns everything, including you. So next time fury rises, choose silence. Let it be the space where your better self steps in. Number 4, stay silent in the face of false rumors. Rumors are like smoke. They drift fast, cloud judgment, and often leave a stain long after the fire dies down. One person whispers, another embellishes, and soon you're the subject of a story that bears little resemblance to truth. The urge to respond is immediate, to defend, to correct, to make it stop. But here's the Stoic response: don't, because sometimes silence is stronger than any speech. When people spread lies or twist your words, your first instinct might be to chase every rumor down, to explain, to plead your case. But in doing so, you can end up fueling the very thing you're trying to extinguish. As Seneca wisely said, time discovers truth, and truth, unlike gossip, needs no defense. It only needs patience. Silence in the midst of slander is not weakness, it's discipline. It's choosing not to dignify falsehoods with your energy. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. The opinions of others are beyond your control, but your response is entirely yours. Imagine you're at work, and suddenly there's talk that you're the reason a project failed. You know it's untrue. You want to clear your name. Send that email, confront the source. But you don't. Instead, you stay composed. You let your actions speak. You let time do its work. And what happens? The rumor fades. The truth, slow but steady, rises to the surface. And people begin to see not just the facts, but your poise under pressure. That's the power of Stoic silence. It's not about ignoring injustice. It's about refusing to let lies pull you into a game you didn't ask to play. You stay focused on what you can control: your work, your values, your integrity. Rumors may circle, but character stands still. So the next time false words fly around you, resist the urge to react. Say nothing, stand firm. And remember, those who know you won't be swayed by whispers, and those who are swayed were never worth convincing. Number 5, how to deal with loss. Loss has a way of stopping time. The world moves on, traffic flows, conversations carry on, but inside everything is still. There's a silence that follows, not empty, but heavy. It fills the spaces where laughter used to live, lingers in memories that now echo with absence. In that silence, many try to escape through distraction, noise, or numbing the pain. But Stoicism offers a different way. It doesn't ask us to deny grief, but to face it, to transform it from something that breaks us into something that builds us. When we lose someone dear, a job we loved or a dream we held close, our instinct is resistance. We replay the past, wrestle with what-ifs, and try to bargain with reality. But as Epictetus reminds us, it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. We can't undo what has happened, but we can choose how we respond. Seneca once said, "The day we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity." That perspective reframes loss, not as the end, but as a transition. Pain is natural, but so is growth. Silence in the face of loss isn't a void. It's a vessel, a space to reflect, to feel, to heal. Grief is not a weakness, it's the cost of deep connection. The pain we feel is a reflection of how much something mattered. That meaning doesn't vanish, it evolves. The Stoics believed that every challenge, no matter how painful, is a chance to return to what matters most: virtue, resilience, and gratitude. Even in sorrow we can find strength. We can honor what we've lost by choosing to live fully, by appreciating what remains, whether it's the support of others, the lessons learned, or the strength we've discovered within ourselves. Loss will visit all of us, but how we meet it, that defines who we become. So, when grief comes, don't rush to silence it. Sit with it, breathe through it, let it carve depth into your soul. And when you're ready, carry what you've lost, not as a burden, but as part of your journey forward. Number 6, navigating ignorance with Stoic grace. We've all met them, people so convinced of their own knowledge, yet everything they say reveals how little they truly understand. It could be a colleague confidently giving wrong instructions, or an online commenter arguing with passion, but no facts. It's both amusing and frustrating. But in these moments, the Stoic doesn't lose patience. They practice discipline. Rather than reacting with irritation, Stoicism invites us to see ignorance not as a threat, but as an opportunity to strengthen our own character. Consider the example of Socrates, not a Stoic himself, but deeply admired by the Stoics. He never shouted, never belittled. He asked questions, simple, piercing questions, that gently unraveled false certainty. His method wasn't to conquer, but to reveal, to let others see the cracks in their own logic without ever raising his voice. Now, imagine applying that in your own life. When someone boldly insists on something incorrect, your goal isn't to win the debate. Ask instead, what makes you certain, or have you considered a different angle? These questions aren't confrontational, they're invitations to think deeper, and often that's more effective than any rebuttal. But what if they don't listen? What if they double down? That's where silence becomes your greatest tool. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. You don't need to correct everyone. You don't need to spend your energy on those unwilling to receive it. Think of the astronomer Aristarchus, who suggested the Earth moved around the Sun centuries before Galileo. He was ignored, even mocked, but he didn't waste his life arguing. He simply left the truth where it stood, because truth, like virtue, doesn't need to shout. In practicing silence, you preserve your energy, you remain anchored, you choose peace over provocation. And that calm presence, unshaken by noise, is what sets you apart. So, next time you're faced with confident ignorance, pause, ask a question, stay silent, or simply walk away. Because real wisdom isn't about proving others wrong. It's about mastering yourself. Number 7, how to deal with rumors. There comes a moment in life when you realize you're the subject of whispers. Maybe it began as a small misunderstanding, a passing comment taken the wrong way, but before long, the story takes on a life of its own, passed from mouth to mouth. Each retelling adds a new layer until fiction begins to masquerade as truth. It's maddening. Your first instinct is to chase the rumor, confront the storytellers, clear your name, but pause. Has that ever truly worked? Take the story of Elias, a devoted mentor who spent years guiding underprivileged youth toward better futures. He stayed late, funded workshops out of pocket, and gave his heart to the mission. But one student, angry over a failing grade, spread whispers that Elias was biased. The rumors spread, trust began to waver, and his reputation faltered. Elias could have fought back, but he didn't. Instead, he let his work speak. He kept mentoring, kept showing up. He chose not to battle shadows, and slowly the truth emerged. Parents saw progress. Students spoke up. Colleagues remembered his consistency, and the whisper, it died like all noise without an audience. This isn't just Elias' story, it's a reminder to you. How often have you let someone's words hijack your peace, pulling you into battles that drain your spirit? Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who did the injury." The Stoics knew that silence, when chosen with intention, is not weakness, it's power. Epictetus taught that if a rumor is true, correct yourself. If it's false, why be disturbed? It's human to want to defend yourself. But Stoicism invites a higher path. When you choose not to respond, you're saying, I know who I am. I don't owe clarity to those committed to misunderstanding me. So, what can you do? First, master your emotions. Reacting in anger gives life to lies. Breathe, reflect, ask yourself, is this even worth your energy? Second, stay the course. Let your actions build your legacy, not your explanations. Because in the end, it's not the rumor that defines you, it's your response to it. Let your silence echo louder than their noise. Keep walking with dignity, with purpose. Number 8, when confronted with injustice. Life isn't fair, and the Stoics never pretended otherwise. You can be honest, diligent, and kind, yet still be overlooked, betrayed, or falsely judged. And when injustice strikes, the natural instinct is to push back, to defend yourself, to demand what you deserve. But the question is, will that reaction serve you or cost you your peace? Picture this: Arman, a rising researcher, dedicates a year to developing a groundbreaking idea. At the unveiling, his supervisor takes full credit. His name is left off the project. The rage is real. The urge to speak out is strong. But Armand doesn't explode. He doesn't retaliate. He continues doing what he does best, creating, building, leading with quiet excellence. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Injustice is friction. How you handle it, that's your refinement. Stoicism isn't about accepting mistreatment. It's about choosing your response with wisdom. Acting out of anger often makes you appear emotional, even when you're right. But responding with calm and consistency builds a different kind of power, one that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The Stoics remind us that we can't control outcomes, only our effort, our integrity, and our mindset. And when that becomes your focus, you stop giving injustice power over you. This doesn't mean turning a blind eye to what's wrong. It means playing the long game, staying sharp and letting your results speak louder than your resentment. So next time you're dealt an unfair hand, take a breath, pause, then ask, what response would honor my character, not just my emotions, because the quiet strength of restraint often leaves the deepest impression, and no one can take that away from you. Number 9, how to handle insults with Stoic wisdom. There's a unique kind of strength that reveals itself in silence, not the silence of fear or avoidance, but the intentional, grounded stillness that refuses to be shaken by provocation. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that insults only carry weight if we choose to carry them. Epictetus once said, if someone provokes you, it's because your mind is complicit in the provocation. At first, it may sound harsh, almost blaming, but look deeper and you'll find freedom in that idea, because it means you have a choice. You don't have to hand over your peace every time someone throws a careless word your way. Think about it. How many times have you let a rude comment, a snide remark, or a passive-aggressive jab ruin your entire day? We replay the insult over and over, trying to craft the perfect comeback long after the moment has passed. But the Stoic doesn't waste energy that way. The Stoic steps back, breathes, and lets the moment go. Take the example of Clara, a community leader known for her calm demeanor. Over the years, she's been unfairly criticized in public meetings, misquoted in local media, and targeted by people who simply didn't like her message. She could have fought back. She could have turned every insult into a battle, but she didn't. Instead, she focused on her mission. She let her work speak louder than any defense. And over time, even her harshest critics had to admit there was wisdom in her silence. This is what real power looks like. When you refuse to react, you deny the aggressor their victory. You take control of the only thing that's truly yours, your response. Eleanor Roosevelt, who faced relentless criticism throughout her public life, once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." That's Stoicism in action, not weakness, not retreat, but quiet, unshakable self-respect. And this principle isn't just for philosophers or public figures. It's for you. When was the last time someone's words got under your skin? A co-worker's sarcasm, a family member's judgment, a stranger's online comment? Ask yourself, did reacting help, or did it make things worse? Next time, try this instead. Breathe. Let the words pass through you like wind through an open window. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain. You don't even have to respond. Because silence, when rooted in confidence, becomes its own statement. In a world where everyone is shouting, trying to prove, to argue, to win, The one who remains calm will always stand out. Stoic silence isn't passive. It's powerful. It says, I know who I am, and I don't need your approval to validate it. So, here we are at the end of our journey through the 9 moments where silence isn't just golden, it's transformational. If there's one thing we've learned from the Stoics, from Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, it's this: wisdom isn't about having the last word, it's about knowing when to say nothing at all. Imagine how different your life could be if, instead of arguing with fools, you just smiled and let them tire themselves out. If, instead of feeding negativity, you let it roll off like rain on stone. Feels powerful, doesn't it? No, because it is. So, here is a quiet challenge. The next time someone tests your peace, pause, don't react, just breathe. Stay grounded and rise above it. When you feel that shift, that calm strength, come back and comment Stoic calm. If this journey into Stoic silence spoke to you, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. It's a small act, but it helps bring more wisdom to those who need it. You're stronger than you think, and this is only the beginning. Stay steady, and I'll see you in the next reflection. Have you ever been in a moment where someone tried to undermine you, perhaps with a dismissive remark, a sarcastic joke, or an attempt to make you feel small in front of others? In that split second, you feel the weight of the room shift. Do you react? Do you stay silent? And most importantly, how do you walk away from this moment, not just with your dignity intact, but with respect earned? The truth is, the truth is, people often test boundaries, not because they truly despise you, but because diminishing others gives them a fleeting sense of power. This happens in workplaces, social circles, even among family. But here's the thing, no one can strip you of respect unless you allow it. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Respect isn't won through aggression or dominance. It's cultivated through how you carry yourself, how you respond under pressure, and the silent strength you exude. In this video, we'll uncover powerful Stoic strategies to command respect, not through force, but through unwavering composure. You'll learn how to disarm those who test you, establish unshakable confidence, and create an aura of respect that follows you wherever you go. So stay with me, because mastering these principles won't just change how others see you, it'll change how you see yourself. Let's begin. First tip, the first impression. First impressions are powerful. Before you even speak, people form an opinion about you based on subtle cues, your posture, your demeanor, your presence, and often it's not what you say that defines their perception, but how you carry yourself. Picture this: you're at an important networking event. A well-respected professional enters the room, scans the crowd and walks toward you. They extend a hand for a greeting, but instead of rising to meet them, you remain seated, offering a quick, indifferent handshake. In that instant, you've sent an unspoken message, one of disinterest, hesitation, or even insecurity. What seems like a small action has a massive impact. Without realizing it, you've subtly diminished your presence in the room. The Stoics understood this deeply. They recognized that simple gestures, standing up when greeting someone, maintaining eye contact, offering a firm handshake, aren't just social niceties. They are powerful reflections of self-respect and awareness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your outward behavior is a direct reflection of your internal state. I once attended a professional seminar where networking was the primary goal. Among the many attendees, one individual stood out, not because he spoke the loudest, but because of how he carried himself. Whether he was greeting a senior executive or simply thanking a waiter for refilling his coffee, he always stood up, made eye contact, and engaged fully. He didn't try to dominate the conversation, yet people naturally gravitated toward him. His presence commanded respect, not through words, but through action. In contrast, another attendee consistently remained seated during introductions. It wasn't out of arrogance, just habit, yet this one small behavior created an invisible barrier. People unconsciously took him less seriously, even though he was just as capable as anyone else in the room. This highlights an essential truth. Standing up isn't just about politeness, it's about presence. It signals confidence, awareness, and an unspoken understanding of mutual respect. Why does this matter? In every interaction, you are either reinforcing or undermining your own value. The Stoics teach us to focus only on what is within our control. And while we cannot control how others perceive us, we can control how we present ourselves. So, how do you apply this principle? Be fully present, whether you're in a professional setting, meeting a new acquaintance, or even joining a virtual call. Engage with intent. Your presence should signal that you respect both yourself and those around you. Stand up when greeting someone. It's a small but profound act. It acknowledges the other person's presence and subtly asserts your own. Maintain eye contact, not as a display of dominance, but as a quiet affirmation of confidence. People respect those who are comfortable holding their gaze. Let your body language reflect composure. The way you sit, stand, and move communicates more than your words ever could. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Carry yourself with that same grace, steady, intentional, and unshaken. First impressions are not about appearances. They are about the energy you bring into a room. They are about showcasing confidence, self-respect, and the respect you have for others. This is the essence of Stoicism, to live with purpose, to master the things within your control, and to let your actions define your character. So, the next time you meet someone, rise to the occasion, literally. Meet their eyes, shake their hand with quiet confidence, and let your presence speak for itself. Second tip: when someone interrupts you, there are few things more frustrating than being interrupted mid-sentence, especially in a public setting. You're making a point, articulating your thoughts, and suddenly someone cuts you off, hijacking the conversation. It's disrespectful, sometimes even humiliating. The natural instinct is to snap back, talk over them, or forcefully reclaim your space. But here's the truth. Reacting emotionally only weakens your position. The Stoics understood that true power is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself. When someone interrupts you, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, pause and meet their gaze with calm, unwavering focus. Let the silence settle. In that moment, without a single word, you send a clear message. I am not someone to be dismissed. A steady, composed gaze carries more weight than a raised voice. It subtly shifts the dynamic, forcing the interrupter and everyone else present to acknowledge their misstep. More often than not, they'll recognize their rudeness and either stop or correct themselves. This isn't about intimidation, it's about presence. A person who commands respect doesn't need to fight for attention. They naturally draw it through self-possession and quiet confidence. I remember once, at a family gathering, I was sharing a story when a relative abruptly cut me off to insert their own. For a moment, I felt that familiar sting of irritation, but instead of rushing to reclaim my space, I stopped speaking, turned toward them, and simply waited, expression calm, gaze steady. Within seconds, they realized what had happened. An awkward pause filled the air before they laughed, gestured for me to continue, and stepped back. The moment resolved itself effortlessly, no confrontation, no loss of dignity. This strategy is especially effective in professional or social settings, where respect is often determined by how you carry yourself under pressure. A composed silence draws more attention than raised voices. A steady gaze asserts your presence without aggression. When you control the pace of an interaction, you control its direction. Of course, silence alone isn't enough. Once the interruption settles, resume your point with quiet confidence. As simple as "I was saying," or "let me pick up where I left off," reaffirms your right to speak without unnecessary hostility. You're not seeking to embarrass the other person, only to set a clear expectation that mutual respect in conversation is non-negotiable. The beauty of this approach, it requires no force, no arrogance, only self-discipline. You're not demanding respect, you're embodying it. The more consistently you uphold this level of composure, the more people recognize you as someone worthy of attention, someone who cannot be easily dismissed. Seneca once said, "A wise man is content with his own approval." When you remain calm in the face of interruption, you prove that your value isn't dictated by how loudly you can assert yourself, but by how steadfastly you maintain your presence. So, the next time someone talks over you, don't react, respond, hold your ground, meet their eyes, let your silence do the talking, and when the moment is right, continue without hesitation, without resentment, without losing control. That is the mark of a person who commands respect. Third tip: jokes and humiliation. At some point you will find yourself in a situation where someone tries to humiliate you with a joke, especially in a group setting. Maybe it's an old friend bringing up an embarrassing story, a colleague making a sarcastic remark at your expense, or someone trying to score cheap laughs at your discomfort. In that moment, the heat rises to your face. Your pride stings, and your first instinct is to fire back, to defend yourself, to regain control. But pause for a moment. What if you didn't react with anger or embarrassment? What if instead you met the situation with unshakable composure? This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your greatest ally. I once attended a casual meetup with old friends. The conversation was flowing. Laughter filled the room until one of them decided to retell an embarrassing story from our school days, framing it in a way that made me look foolish. The group erupted into laughter, and for a brief second, I felt that familiar pang of discomfort, my immediate instinct to shoot back with a sarcastic remark, to even the playing field. But instead, I did something different. I smiled, stayed calm, and acted as if I hadn't quite heard them. Then, in a neutral, composed tone, I said, "That's interesting. Could you repeat that?" Something fascinating happened. The moment lost its momentum. The joke, once carried by surprise and social pressure, suddenly felt forced. The laughter softened. The person telling the story hesitated, and as they awkwardly tried to repeat the joke, it simply didn't land the same way. In trying to explain it, they realized how weak it actually was. The tables had turned. This approach works because humiliation thrives on reaction. When someone tries to make you the target of a joke, they expect you to either shrink in embarrassment or lash out in frustration. Either response gives them control, but by remaining calm, unshaken, and even slightly amused, you subtly strip their words of power. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic mindset. If it does not harm your character, it is beneath your concern. If a joke is meant to undermine you but doesn't truly affect your essence, then why let it disturb your peace? The key is understanding that your reaction defines the moment, not their words. So how can you apply this principle effectively? First, pause before reacting. The space between stimulus and response is where your power lies. Take a breath. Do not let emotions dictate your actions. Second, use silence as a weapon. A moment of calm stillness forces the other person to recognize what they've said. Often, their own discomfort will do more to diffuse the situation than any words you could say. Third, if you respond, do so with quiet confidence. A simple, neutral-toned request, "Could you say that again?" can be far more effective than a defensive retort. It puts the burden on them to justify their words, and more often than not, they'll struggle. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about mastering ourselves. When you handle situations like these with calm confidence, you send an unmistakable message. You are not easily shaken. You define your worth, not the fleeting words of others. And in that moment, without raising your voice or sinking to their level, you command respect effortlessly. So, the next time someone tries to make you the punchline of their joke, remember, you hold the power. Let their words pass like the wind. Stay grounded in your composure, and watch as their attempt to diminish you falls flat. Fourth tip, a question in response. Have you ever been in a situation where someone deliberately tried to provoke you, hoping to get under your skin? Maybe it was a sharp remark about your personal life, a passive-aggressive jab at your career, or a comment designed to humiliate you in front of others. These moments test your patience, and the instinctive reaction is often to defend yourself, argue, or lash out. But what if you did something completely unexpected? Imagine this: you're at a family gathering. Someone smirks and says, "So, still stuck at that job you hate?" The words sting, and you feel the room's attention shift toward you, anticipating your reaction. You have a choice: meet aggression with aggression or take control of the situation without even engaging in the insult. Instead of reacting emotionally, you pause, stay completely calm, and respond with an unrelated, neutral question, by the way. Does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking of picking up something for next time. The effect is immediate. The person trying to provoke you is caught off guard, momentarily lost for words. The conversation, which was heading toward conflict, takes an abrupt turn. Others in the group move on, discussing bakery recommendations or sharing their thoughts on desserts. Just like that, You've neutralized the attack without lifting a finger. This technique isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about reclaiming control. By refusing to react emotionally, you send a clear message. You do not dictate my state of mind. I do. Stoicism teaches us that external events mean little compared to how we choose to respond to them. Epictetus put it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Why does this strategy work so well? First, it disrupts the momentum of negativity. When someone insults you, they expect resistance, a back and forth, a rise in tension. But when you respond with unexpected calmness and a neutral, unrelated topic, you throw off their rhythm. They are left with no fuel to continue their provocation. Second, it shows immense self-discipline and confidence. Most people get defensive when attacked, but someone who remains unshaken commands respect. By controlling your response, you control the interaction. However, execution is key. Your tone must be natural and relaxed. If you sound forced or sarcastic, it may come across as avoidance or passive aggression. The goal isn't to dodge the situation awkwardly, but to redirect the energy in a way that subtly asserts your control. A simple, neutral question about a local restaurant, a recent event, or even the weather works best. The less it relates to the insult, the more effective it is. This technique doesn't just serve you in the moment, it builds long-term resilience. By refusing to be drawn into petty conflicts, you develop an inner strength that others will recognize and respect. Over time, people will come to see you as someone who cannot be easily rattled, someone who operates on a higher plane of self-mastery. You cannot control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond. And when you respond with calm detachment rather than emotional reactivity, you not only protect your peace, but also command deep, lasting respect. So, next time someone tries to provoke you, don't argue, disarm, ask a simple, unrelated question and watch as the entire dynamic shifts. In that moment, you are no longer the target, you are the one in control. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The fifth tip, walking away. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt undervalued, dismissed, or outright disrespected? It's a sinking feeling, one that gnaws at your self-worth. But here's a truth many struggle to accept. Sometimes the most powerful way to command respect is to walk away. Stoic philosophy teaches us that respect is never demanded. It is cultivated through self-awareness and firm boundaries. And sometimes the greatest show of strength is not in fighting for acknowledgement, but in choosing where to invest your energy. Walking away is not a retreat. It's a declaration. I refuse to stay where I am not valued. Let me share a story. Sarah, a talented creative professional, joined a major project at her company, eager to contribute, but from day one, her manager constantly belittled her, interrupting her in meetings, dismissing her ideas, and treating her as if her work was insignificant. She told herself that if she just worked harder, proved her worth, she'd eventually earn the respect she deserved. Months passed, nothing changed. Then one day, in yet another meeting, Sarah's well-thought-out idea was brushed aside without reason. But this time she didn't fight for attention. She calmly closed her laptop, stood up and simply said she would take her talents where they were appreciated. She walked out, leaving the room in stunned silence. That same day, she submitted her resignation, not in anger, but as an act of self-respect. A few months later, Sarah landed a leadership role at a company that valued and celebrated her skills. She hadn't lost, she had won. Her story is not just about leaving a toxic job. It's about understanding that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's knowing that staying in an environment that diminishes you is far worse than the uncertainty of leaving. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control others' behavior, we can control where we place ourselves. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So how do you know when it's time to walk away? It's when you've exhausted every reasonable effort to earn respect, only to be met with indifference. It's when your presence is taken for granted, when you're forced to fight for basic recognition. The moment you realize that staying is costing you your self-respect, that's your sign. But walking away is not about creating drama, proving a point, or seeking revenge. It's a quiet, firm decision. It's telling yourself,